Yo, what's up? Today we're talking about the unluckiest MMA fighters, some of the unluckiest. I'm going to be talking about some well-known names, and also at the end I will be talking about some guys you likely don't know. Let's start with Alexander Gustafsson. I think we know where this story goes, right? One of the greatest UFC fighters, MMA fighters to never win a UFC title. He did try and he was very close. He controversially lost a decision against John Jones. A lot of people thought that he won that fight. And same goes for his fight versus DC. A lot of people thought that he did win. He lost. Ultimately, he did lose a split decision against two of the greatest fighters of all time. Honestly, like John Jones can easily be considered the GOAT. A lot of people do consider him as the GOAT. The best fighter of all time, at least. If you don't want to consider John Jones as a GOAT because of his PED past, sure, but at least one of the best, if not the best fighter of all time. Gustafsson had to fight his John Jones in his prime, and he low-key he won that fight, but at the end of the day they did not give him the title, so that's one of the reasons why he's unlucky. But overall, even if he got to a competitive fight and he clearly lost, he would be still considered, in my opinion, one of the most unlucky fighters in UFC history, because this guy had to fight two of the greatest light heavyweights of all time with DC and Jones. Besides that, he had to fight guys like Rumble, which is cool, also very tough, but this guy had to fight Jones twice, DC, to get to a title win, and he wasn't able to get it done. A lot of injuries also later in his career. He tried to make a comeback at heavyweight as well. It just did not work out for him. So overall, a very unlucky career. Although he has had a very good career, one of the best fighters to never win a title, it still just speaks to the fact that he was so good. He could have been much more than what he showed us at the end of the day. Now, next up, someone I think we already know as well, Dominick Cruz, of course, one of the most unlucky fighters in MMA history. He could have been one of the greatest. That's what his talent was, that's what his level was, but unfortunately, so many injuries. This guy spent more time out with injuries than active and uninjured in his MMA or UFC career. Such a shame. He still became champion, just shows how great he was, but once again I feel like he could have been so much more. He could have been top 5 greatest of all time, and now he's not even the greatest bantamweight of all time, not even close at this point. So it is sad. He is one of the brightest minds, although he has some crazy takes sometimes. Oh, I think he's tiring out Khabib, bro, but still one of the brightest minds, way ahead of his time. Beat guys like TJ Dillashaw, beat guys like Mighty Mouse. So the skill level was really there, but he was just not able to implement it too much because of all the injuries. And then he came back in 2020 after almost a 4-year layoff. Crazy stuff, bro. Insane. Obviously got cooked, but it is what it is. It's a shame, so many injuries, but it is what it is. Another guy, I think I've talked about this even not too long ago. Tony Ferguson, very unlucky. First of all, he was never able to get the fight versus Khabib. I think he would have lost, so maybe that's not that unlucky. But he was supposed to be UFC champion. He was supposed to get the undisputed belt. He only got to the interim belt because UFC did not strip Conor of the title, and Conor did not vacate, so he was never called a UFC champion, which is of course sad because he was on such a crazy win streak, 12-5 win streak, fought the best of the best and just did not get a title shot the undisputed title that he deserved. Another guy, Justin the Highlight Gaethje. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, why is he unlucky? He's getting this title shot undeserved, blah blah blah. He is getting an undeserved interim title fight, that's true, but he had to fight prime Tony Ferguson. At that point was prime Tony Ferguson on short notice. He won that fight. Then he had to fight Khabib, prime Khabib, bro. After Khabib's father died, so there was no way I was losing the fight. So he had to face him. Then he had to face for the title again prime Charles Oliveira, and now let's say he beats Paddy Pimblett, bro. He'll have to fight prime Ilia Topuria, bro. This guy is never putting a finger on the undisputed title ever. This is just so unlucky. This guy is cooked. This guy is cooked, and you already know he's getting finished in brutal fashion if he fights Ilia Topuria, bro. But okay, we've had these 4 guys that are fairly mainstream. I want to get into some guys that are more niche, and the further we go, the more niche they become. Darren Winn, I'm sure a few people know this guy. Some may not. This guy was a teammate of DC. This guy was 5'6" at middleweight, 5'5", 5'6" at middleweight. Had a 2-3 record in the UFC. Was not terrible, but as I said, he was like 5'6", and he was pretty chubby for middleweight. Just not a great look, and he would never, I don't think he'd ever become ranked or whatever. But this story was kind of crazy. He was supposed to fight in 2022 in December. He was cutting weight. He fell down at the UFC PI. He had the concussion, so it was a pretty bad fall. He had the concussion, had to pull out of his fight against, I think it was Julian Marquez. He had to pull out, and a few days later, the UFC told him, nah, bro, you're cut, bro. Like, oh, you fell down at the UFC PI due to a weight cut. He got the concussion and was not able to fight on our ground. Nah, you're cut, bro. We cannot have this. Kind of crazy. Like, why would he be cut because he fell down? He could not. It's not that he fell down on purpose. And he fell down at the UFC PI while he was cutting weight. Not a good look for the UFC. Very unfortunate. This is like a niche little story that I feel like is unlucky. Imagine just getting cut because you fell down, bro. You got a concussion. How is that fair? Kind of crazy. But like I said, a little story. Now these two are getting a bit crazier. This one, Viktor Bogutzki. Listen, bro. 0-2 in his MMA career. And you're like, who the fuck is this guy, bro? Listen, some Russian name, King Kong Viktor Bogutzki. Why do we care? Look at these names, guys. Look at these names. He made his MMA debut against a 8-2 Yuri Prohaska, bro. It's not like this was an early Yuri. It was 8-2. Imagine, first of all, imagine making your debut against someone that's 8-2, and now imagine this guy being Yuri Prohaska, the UFC light heavyweight champion, former but still a champion, one of the craziest, most violent guys in history. Well, understandably, he got cooked, right? And then you may be thinking, okay, maybe that's just a tough debut, blah blah blah. Second fight in his MMA career was none other than Rico Verhoeven, bro. Rico Verhoeven, by the way, from that point on, he was just becoming the youth or glory heavyweight champion, and from that point on, he still kept the title for over 10 years, bro. One of the best kickboxers of all time, definitely the greatest kickboxer in the modern era. Huge guy, crazy. And it's not like this Viktor is a grappler himself. He's a kickboxer, so he got cooked on the ground by Rico even, bro. He left the sport thinking, oh, bro, I'm so trash, not knowing who these two are. Imagine you have 2 fights and you're like, oh, no, I'm trash, bro. I have to do something else. And then you find out these are some of the greatest fighters of all time. This is crazy. Now, this is even crazier. A similar story, but in my opinion, this is crazier. This guy doesn't even have a picture. That's how random this guy is and how bad the matchmaking was for this kid, bro. Look at these 2 fights. Bro. Chuck Liddell in your MMA debut. Okay. 2 years later, you try again. You're like, oh, bro, come on, man. I can do this, bro. I can do this. And then you get cooked by Quentin Rampage Jackson, bro. 8-1, by the way. Who manages these guys? Like, who is this manager that got a guy like this, a fight against Chuck Liddell, and then against Quentin Jackson? This may be the worst or the best manager of all time. The worst or the best manager of all time. Because either you want your fighter to die, or you just want to feed them to these guys, or you want to build them up quick. And that's how we do it against Chuck Liddell, Quentin Jackson. Obviously, it's not a good idea because he got cooked. is what it is. One of the unluckiest, if not the unluckiest guy in MMA history. And once again, bro, this guy was waking up after June 17, 2001 and was thinking to himself, I'm so trash, bro. I want to provide for my family in MMA, but I just know I'm not able to, bro. So I'm just gonna retire. I'm gonna work at the McDonald's. People are gonna be telling me just put the fries in the bag, but it is what it is. And he comes to find out Quinton Jackson, Chuck Liddell, 2 UFC champions, 2 of the most violent guys in MMA history, and 2 of the greatest in that generation. So it's kind of crazy how this guy got cooked by his manager, or even if he had a manager, by the organization, by the promoter. He's like, bro, I know he's 8-1, bro, don't worry, bro, he's not that good, bro. You're gonna knock him out. I'm sure of it. I've seen you fight, bro. You're a beast. And then it's fucking Quinton Rampage Jackson, and he cooks you. The people around this guy did not want him to succeed, bro. It's sad, but it's what it is. Thank you guys for watching. This was the unluckiest MMA fighters of all time. Some of them, if you know more or if you want more of this, I can definitely make that happen. Let me know some of these more niche stories. You can send me a message on Instagram or comment. So let me know. Thank you for this one, or thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.